Seahawks Today coming up in just a few moments from right now. But before we do, I want to make sure that you are an award-winning subscriber to Seahawks Today. We are nearing 27,000 subscribers, but we need your help to get there. We're just over 300 subscribers away. So if you are already subscribed, go ahead and tell all your friends to make sure that they are subscribed to Seahawks Today. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Hit that red sub button below. That's youtube.com/Seahawks TV. And when we get to 30,000 subscribers, I'll do, as promised, a big old Gatorade bath. Welcome into Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. We are presented by Aura, our newest sponsor here at Chat Sports. We'll tell you more about what they do coming up later in the show. But let's go ahead and get to the news of the day. There is a new report out from Sports Illustrated looking at a couple of options at the quarterback position for the Seahawks with names that we have not mentioned before. Let's start out with Ryan Tannehill, the Tennessee Titans quarterback. According to Sports Illustrated's All Seahawks, they have suggested that the Seahawks could be interested in the Titans starting quarterback. They also mentioned Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo as well, who we've talked about on this channel a lot, in particular Mayfield. You look at Tannehill, his track record includes a Pro Bowl appearance in 2019, as well as winning the NFL's Comeback Player of the Year award after getting off to a slow start to his career with the Miami Dolphins. Had a nice bounce back when he took over for Marcus Mariota there in Tennessee. Led the Titans to back-to-back AFC South championships, took them to the AFC Championship game. They were the number one overall seed in the AFC last year as well. You look at the numbers from Tannehill. In 2020, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Last year, not quite as good, 21 touchdowns and 14 picks. The completion percentage, pretty solid as well, near 66% in 2020 and 67% in 2021. Look, when you look at Ryan Tannehill, I have, for the last several years, put him as the measuring stick of this is as low as you can get on paying a quarterback as a franchise quarterback long term. That is the measuring line. If you can get a Ryan Tannehill to be your franchise quarterback, then I think that you're okay for the long term. But in the Seahawks case, not so fast, my friends. Shout out Lee Corso there. I'm not interested in paying Ryan Tannehill right now $29 million that he would be owed for the Seahawks situation. For Tennessee, I think that's fine for now, but they still have concerns about his future. Remember, they looked at Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson. Tannehill has played better than I think any of us ever expected that he would in Tennessee, but I don't know if this is going to last. As far as we know, we very well could have seen the best of Ryan Tannehill for his entire career at this point. That might be it, as far as I'm concerned. So, for what the Seahawks would have to give up for Tannehill, I am not interested in trading for Ryan Tannehill for this Seahawks team and paying him $29 million. If Tennessee is not completely sold on Ryan Tannehill at this point, with the money that they're committed to him as well, I don't see why the Seahawks should be interested in putting that type of commitment into Ryan Tannehill that would take. This is not a knock on Tannehill. I recognize what he has done the last few years. But at this point in his career with that money, I'm not willing to go on that bridge. Another step of money for Ryan Tannehill in Seattle like that, not at $29 million. No thanks. We want to hear from you guys, though. Our pinned comment on today's show: should Seattle trade for Ryan Tannehill? Tell us in the comment section. Type Y for yes, N for no, if you think the Seahawks should make a move for Ryan Tannehill. We'll have an ad break here, and while that ad's playing, take advantage of it. Get your votes in on our pinned comment today. Y for yes, N for no, if Seattle should trade for Ryan Tannehill. Another name that has come up for the Seahawks, according to Sports Illustrated's Cowboys Country, is Cooper Rush, the backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. He only made one start last year. That was against Minnesota. A win at that, where he played relatively well. And Cooper Rush comes from Central Michigan. He was part of the MACtion as a second-team All-MAC player in 2015. Also led a big win for Central Michigan on the road against Oklahoma State that he was a part of. So Cooper Rush, not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I'll tell you more about Cooper Rush in just a second, but before we do, I want to tell you about our new sponsor, Aura. And these guys are just the absolute best, and they provide quite the combination when it comes to cybersecurity and fraud protection that no one else in the business is doing like these guys are at Aura. Financial fraud protection, identity theft protection, online and device security, family plans to protect 5 people as well. And we have a special offer just for our Seahawks Today viewers. If you go to aura.com/chatsports, they'll give you a 14-day free trial to test out their products so you can protect you and your loved ones today. You can get near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries. You know, I got to tell you, a few years back, I was shopping at one of those big box stores. Not going to tell you which one it was, but my card was compromised at this said big box store. And I didn't find out from my bank till months after the fact. And with Aura, they would tell you right away if there was an issue. They have real-time alerts that they'll tell you about so you can protect you and your loved ones from financial fraud. Also, if your information's on the dark webs as well, they have you covered. Go to aura.com/chatsports for a 14-day free trial. Back to Cooper Rush. So, Cooper Rush, look, he's been fine. I'll say this much about Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush, you look at the one game that he started last year against the Minnesota Vikings. It went well. A win, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Cooper Rush did what was asked for him, right? But let's slow the brakes down. A trade for a guy that's made 1 career start? No, thank you. I'm out. No thanks. I'm not trading for Cooper Rush. Not giving up any assets for Cooper Rush at this point in time. Now, for me, it's just the sample size. I need to see more from this guy. And what we've looked at his time in the National Football League, he's played well, but if there was any other interest, if Cooper Rush was this hidden gem that nobody was, talking about, why is no one else looking at Cooper Rush? Why is there not a demand for Cooper Rush if he is supposed to be the answer here and potentially start at quarterback for somebody out there? Look, I'm not going to trade for Cooper Rush. I wouldn't do that because I just haven't seen enough from him yet. If he gets more opportunity, if Dak is out some this year and he plays well, maybe then we talk about that conversation next year. But right now, I'm not going to give up assets for somebody that I just don't know what he brings to the table personally. So no thanks on Cooper Rush for me personally. What do you guys think? Should the Seahawks trade for Cooper Rush? That is not something I expected to be talking about today, but hell, here we are. Tell me in the comments section. Should the Seahawks trade for Cooper Rush? Type T for trade, type P for pass if you think the Seahawks should make a move for Cooper Rush one way or the other. OTAs are underway, and all of this, of course, is voluntary. But it feels like when you mention anything voluntary in the NFL, it's the voluntold type of ordeal where you're still expected to be there whether you have to be or not. Here's the list of no-shows at this point. Now, granted, over half of them are injury-related, and they may be in the facility, but they're not participating. That includes Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, DK Metcalf, Trey Brown, Ben Burr, John Radigan, those guys all injury-related. Now, Gabe Jackson and Al Woods, those guys just straight up didn't report, and we heard from Pete Carroll say that those guys, he expects to see them later on in the offseason conditioning process. And then there's Noah Fant and Kobe Bryant, 2 of the newest members of the Seattle Seahawks. Fant coming over in the Russell Wilson trade. Bryant was drafted, of course, in the 4th round by the Seahawks. Both of those guys off the field situations. They were excused absences there. So I'm not trying to be a narc and tattle on the guys that didn't show up here, but these are the ones that have not reported at this point in time where things stand when it comes to these offseason OTAs. So there you have it. Before we go today, I want to hear from you guys. Who's your new favorite Seahawk player? We mentioned a couple on that OTAs list, but this roster, of course, looks a lot different than it did in 2021. Give me a name in the comments section who your new favorite Seahawk player is for 2022. Before we go, this week we are doing a Seahawks trade mailbag show. Different than our typical mailbag shows we do around here. I want to hear from you guys some trade ideas. Give me some trade proposals when it comes to players, compensation. Maybe it's a guy you want to bring in. Maybe it's a guy you want to ship out. Tell me who you want to see on this Seahawks team. Throw me some trade ideas out there. I'll react to them later in the week here on Seahawks Today. The only way that you can do that, though, is if you are subscribed to the channel. So subscribe now, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Go to our community tab and put your trade proposal ideas there.